Welcome back to the Vivid Racing YouTube channel. Today we're going to show you guys how to install our VR Performance Valvetronic Exhaust on your second gen Raptor. One of the big pieces about this upgrade is that these trucks do not come with a valved exhaust from the factory, which means we will need to add some wiring for this exhaust, and it is fully controlled by a remote that you keep in the cab of your truck. This is a great exhaust upgrade for anybody with one of these Raptors. From the factory, they sound pretty terrible, but with an upgraded exhaust, you can get a lot more character and sound and volume and all those good things you want out of your truck. So let's get started and start removing the factory exhaust. All right, before you turn a single wrench, make sure you go and soak each of these exhaust bolts in PB Blaster or WD-40 or some sort of anti-seize to help loosen them along the way. Now, I know these trucks generally don't have that high of mileage, but for whatever reason, these Ford exhausts do run high in moisture. So do yourself a favor, and if you can, let these soak overnight. You will definitely save yourself some time. Now, there are two ways you can go about doing this exhaust. There's an easy way and a hard way. If you want to do it the hard way, simply do what I did and just remove the middle sections of the exhaust and leave the tailpipes in their position. You have to wedge everything in and out of its position. It just makes for a really hard time. However, the counter to that is if you want to take a couple more bolts out to remove the tailpipes and essentially take the entire exhaust out and rebuild it from the front back, you'll have a much easier time getting everything sat up and aligned as you go. So I definitely recommend removing the entire exhaust from the downpipes all the way through the tailpipes. It may seem like a little bit more work, but it will definitely make your life easier as you try to put the new exhaust in. Once you get all the exhaust out, it's important to run the cabling for the valves before you put the exhaust back in. And the reason being is that it's just a lot easier to run the wires before you have just more exhaust in your way. So the way we like to do it is go through this rubber grommet that is on essentially in the back seat passenger side. Definitely had to cut a slit in it to run the cable through it, but this is the connector that will go to the exhaust itself. If you lift up the rear passenger seat where the power inverter is, if you peel the carpet back just a little bit, you'll be able to find where this grommet leads to up top. The grommet we pulled out from underneath the truck runs directly underneath this power inverter box. This is underneath the rear passenger seat. Obviously, you gotta lift the rear passenger seat up, and that's where you'll find, this cover that says power inverter. Well, pull that out of the way, it just pops right off. And then there are two bolts that you have to remove to be able to slide the box out of the way. At that point, it's easiest to have somebody below the truck and somebody above the truck to help fish the wire up through. Now, there's already a hole in the carpet right next to where that grommet is underneath the truck. It's not quite over it, but the person up top, if they fish it through with their finger, at the same time the person below is pushing the cable through, super easy work. Plus, it's just two bolts to remove the box, very quick and easy. Obviously, there are other ways you can run it if you really want to. If you want to run it more to the front, you absolutely can do that. But to keep things simple, just go through this grommet in the back seat. C806 that just fired up. But keeping things simple, grommet behind the rear passenger seat, you're good to go. Now that we have our wire run through the floorboard of the truck, we can start to install the new exhaust into its place. Really quickly, I just want to let you guys know we have a full build video on this exact truck. We did more than just what you're seeing in this install video. So if you're interested in seeing what our VR treatment on these Raptors looks like, make sure you check out that full build video. We do a full breakdown of the build process and show you guys exactly how much horsepower you can expect to gain with a few bolt-ons and an ECU flash. And let me tell you, it is worth the watch. So make sure you guys go check that out. And if you want to buy any parts, make sure you guys use the links in the description below. And there's also a discount code in the description. So make sure you use that at checkout. See how many pennies you can save in your pockets. But that's enough talking. Let's get back to the video. Now that we're finished with the install of the exhaust, it is now time to worry about all the wiring that goes to the control box, which controls the function of the valves, the opening and closing function. These are electronic valves, so we need to run a cable to the valve on the exhaust, which is what we did earlier when we talked about throwing the cable through a grommet through the floorboard. Well, this is that cable, and before we tidy up all of the cables and make everything a clean run, we're gonna plug everything in and test it. What we're gonna do for this install is plug the 12-volt connector into the outlet that is here in the back seat. A little bit more hidden, a little bit more out of sight. You obviously can go to the front seat as well, but for this application, we're just gonna do it in the back seat here, or you could just wire this up to your fuse box, and that's absolutely something you can do if that's your fancy. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's plug everything in and get it all situated so we can test. This box is what controls everything. This has power and signal to going to the valve. So the cable that came up from the floorboard, we're just going to plug that into one of the 4-pin ports here. You really can't mess this up. It's not rocket science. And then for power, we have an 8-pin cable. And this guy will also just plug in right here. Now, when we hide everything away and tuck it all away, we're gonna be putting this box hidden in here. Quite literally just gonna plug this into the 12-volt power that's back here, fire up the truck, and it is gonna be a nice cold start. So this should sound pretty good. Okay, that went really great. Everything worked on command with the wireless remote, and so you get 2 of these. If it were me, I'd probably leave 1 in the glove box and 1 on my keychain just to keep my bases covered. Other than that, literally just gonna tidy up the wires back here, and then we're gonna take it for a spin and show you guys how it sounds. Well, that wraps us up on the install of our VR Performance stainless steel Valvetronic exhaust for the 2nd gen Raptor. We hope this video was helpful to you guys, and if you have any further questions, make sure you leave those down in the description below, or feel free to reach out to one of our performance specialists. They'll be happy to help you with any questions you might have. And as always, links are down in the description below, and there's additionally a YouTube only discount code down there, so make sure you grab that to save a little extra cash on your next car part purchase. Thank you guys so much for watching. We hope you learned something today. See you next time.